Hello and welcome to another episode of Historically Marked. I am at Grand Gulf State Park, which is near the southern tip of Missouri, about a few miles from the Arkansas border. But this is one of Missouri's most underrated parks, just in my opinion. There's a couple markers here, and it's known as Missouri's Little Grand Canyon. You'll see why later in this video. But I'm going to show you a couple markers, and I'm going to show you some cool sights, so stick around. So this park dates back to 1984, and there is a good reason why Missouri's nickname is the Show Me State. This is coming from somebody who has been all around the Show Me State, and there's so much to see, so much to do, and I don't know how many people visit this park a year, but if you haven't, you're definitely missing out. This is the Information or Interpretive Center shelter. Missouri is the cave state, unofficial nickname, I guess. Grand Gulf is a collapsed cave system and one of the state's most significant geologic wonders. This collapsed cave system is 0.75 miles long and more than 130 feet deep. The natural bridge at Grand Gulf is one of Missouri's longest natural bridges at more than 250 feet long. The Gulf is Missouri's Little Grand Canyon. Now, unfortunately, I will not be hiking very much today, just going up and seeing up close, but this one just talks more about the interpretive panels that can be found on the hiking trail, and I'll probably be missing out on some, unfortunately. But there's also a lookout for Ozark flowers and animals and insects. This is the geologic story of Grand Gulf State Park. And then Karst topography is a type of landscape that makes up large portions of southern Missouri. And Grand Gulf is a collapsed cave system within a rock formation called Jefferson City Dolomite. Did you know that 500 million years ago, Missouri was part of a vast region covered by a shallow sea? This ancient sea was full of marine life that ultimately died and fell to the seafloor. Their shell fragments created deep layers of sediment. Heat, pressure, and chemical action changed this shell-rich sediment into a rock called dolomite. Dolomite, composed mostly of calcium carbonate, dissolves in a mild acid. This is the key to the development of caves in Missouri. That's what it was believed to have looked like back in the day. So I'm going to go ahead and skip to the next panel behind it, which tells more historical information. And I tell you, these trails and bridges look very nice. These walkways, sorry. So now I'm going to talk about three people who are mentioned on this marker. Recent cultural history of Grand Gulf. Luella Agnes Owen, a courageous woman ahead of her time. Owen studied geology and soil science and fearlessly explored caves. Owen convinced men to take her along on their explorations from 1892 through 1897. It was during that time that Owen visited what would become Grand Gulf State Park. Along with her nephew and his guide, Owen explored the Grand Gulf Sink Cave. The cave led them deep into a tunnel where they came upon an underground river and a boat tethered to the shore. Leaving her companions behind, Owen set out in the boat, burning a magnesium ribbon as her only source of light. And this is what she wrote. If you want to stop and pause that, go ahead. And this one is from Leo Dre, or Dry, I'm assuming it's pronounced Dre, dedicated conservationist and steward for Grand Gulf. Dre was a Missouri native born in St. Louis in 1917. He was a successful forest landowner in the timber industry. He focused on restoration and conservation to manage his own substantial holdings in southern Missouri. In 1962, Dre and his wife Kay formed the LAD Foundation. One of the main purposes of the foundation is to preserve land with outstanding natural or cultural resource value. In 1970, Dre purchased the land that became Grand Gulf State Park and donated it to the foundation. The state of Missouri manages this property through a donated lease from the foundation. And down here is from Dorothy Woodford Ellis, a modern woman determined to protect Grand Gulf. Ellis was born in Koshkonong, Missouri, and raised on the family farm, a half-mile south of the park entrance. She grew up exploring Grand Gulf and hiking the wooded hills. In the early 1970s, she began a career as an elected associate judge on the Oregon County Court and worked to protect the county's natural resources. Ellis was widely known for her persistent efforts to preserve Grand Gulf. After 40 years of dedicated campaigning, Ellis was able to see Grand Gulf become a state park in 1984. She continued to be the greatest advocate for the park until her death in 2016. And over here is a plaque that was put here in 1971 stating it is a national natural landmark. And that was the year 1971 from the National Park Service. Pretty cool. Like I said, there are plenty of trails, like the one I'm going around here. That's like 15 minutes long, but unfortunately I'm not going to be able to do it today. So that one is just a diagram of Grand Junction. I think I'll just go ahead and show it to you now. Why do we call this the Grand Junction? Well, a watershed is an area of land that drains or sheds water into a specific body of water. Watersheds drain rainfall and snow melt into streams and rivers. I'm going to go ahead and go down there. This marker down here is going to remind us that I am standing on a natural bridge. No wood, no steel, no nothing. Just basic natural wonders, or nature, I should say. And this here is the Grand Gulf Natural Bridge, which I'm literally standing on. It's a thick and wide bridge, nearly the length of a football field. You are currently standing on the part of this natural bridge, like I said. Directly below you, 117 feet down, is the entrance to a tunnel, which I'll show you. And then water goes into this tunnel, disappears underneath you, travels 290 feet, and comes out behind you at the sink. This 290-foot long tunnel is 75 feet high at the entrance and narrows down to only 11 feet, where it opens out into the sink. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to go down there. I mean, I could if I wanted to, but for time constraints, and I chose to come here later in the day. And then, yeah, that's where I'm standing. But that's where I hope to see. Are you ready for the view? Here we go. Yes. And yes, you can you can hike definitely around these trails where you can get a much better view, especially of the tunnel, and unfortunately the creeks are dry. But in the summertime, I'm sure when there's plenty of rainfall, spring too, you'll definitely see a lot of water. I forgot to mention that this park is 322 acres. That's pretty big. And if you haven't seen already, yes, there are plenty of picnic tables for families or anyone to eat at. Alright, so now I'm going to go on this wooded platform and see what awaits me at the end. Here we go. Be sure to watch your step. Apparently these are also stairs. Man, I can't get over how clean this is. Like, there's no graffiti. Knock on wood. But here's another marker, and hopefully a great view comes with it. All right, check it out. Oh man. So awesome. And that was where the natural bridge was. Although I can't really see it because of those trees, but hey, I can't complain at all about this view. It's really cool. And it looks like somebody tried to throw some party string down there. See that pink stuff down there? But apparently people can get up close, but I mean, I don't really know my way around these trails, but I'm sure somebody who's been here many times would know, like locals. There's a Thayer down there. All right, and I'm going to read what the marker says. First off, all water that enters Grand Gulf leaves through this tunnel and at the bottom of the sink. Okay, where we just saw. And apparently, this can be underwater. Wow. After persistent heavy rain, the Gulf can rapidly fill to 130 feet of water in a matter of hours, putting this platform underwater. It can take days or weeks to empty. Wow. Kind of a weird, something you don't really think of. So, this large chasm called the sink marks the point where the roof of the cave system stopped collapsing. On a day when Grand Gulf is empty, you can see the bottom of the sink and a cave opening. The cave is the opening to a tunnel and functions like the drain in your kitchen sink. When you fill up your kitchen sink, all the water leaves the sink through the drain or hole in the bottom. Similarly, All water that fills up Grand Gulf leaves the Gulf through this hole in the bottom of the sink. After draining from the sink, the water travels 9 miles underground and resurfaces at Mammoth Spring in Arkansas. And then how do we know that the water from the sink comes out of Mammoth Spring? Okay, good question. Scientists use dye trace tests to determine how water flows through cave systems. Dye trace tests involve placing a fluorescent dye into the water and placing charcoal-filled packets to capture the dye where water resurfaces. Scientists collect the packets and test for captured dye. In 1968, a student from West Plains High School performed the first dye trace test here as a science fair project and recovered the dye at Mammoth Spring. In 2013, the Department of Natural Resources Division of Missouri Geological Survey, or MGS, performed a detailed dye trace test that confirmed the 1968 finding. All right, time to get back up there. All right, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Historically Marked. Well, I hope to visit some more Missouri state parks in the future. This one was definitely a great one, and I'm glad I came at the right time. I came during fall, in October, where, if you noticed in the background, the leaves are pretty much fall colors, most of them at least. But I am Jason at Grand Gulf State Park in southern Missouri, signing off.